Alright, so we have created the register form already, and then after that we also created a screen to confirm the user's account. That way they can log in. But we haven't actually created the login form, so we're going to be doing that in this video. Now before we do that, I wanted to make a quick change to the submit, or at least what happens after we submit our register form. I want to just navigate them to a different screen, and it tells them to go check their email, so they know that this is a complete register and they're ready to do the next thing or whatever. So to do this, we're going to just head on over to our code, and we're going to go to the pages folder, and we're going to add a new one called checkemail.tsx. So this is going to be a real simple component. All I really want to say here is to go check your email. So I'm going to say export default on this guy. We don't need any props. I'm going to go ahead and use the layout component, and then inside of here I'm going to say check your email to confirm your account. Give that a save. We can give this a title, check email. And then I want to navigate to this page, like I said, after the user has registered. So if I go to the index, actually no, it's our register page over here. And then inside of Formic and our on submit, here we're getting the response. So if it does not error out, we know the response is good. So we want to navigate pages. So to navigate pages, we can say router, and you'll notice we have two options. We can either import this from next router, or we can import this from our server folder. We want to import this one from next router right now, and I'm going to say .push, and we're just going to say check email. Now we can just use the next router whenever we want to do routes that don't have any variables in it. So for example, here we just have /check email, so that's why we're using that. So let's try this out now. So let's create a new user. Let's do Tom today. Copy that, submit, and when it actually sends the email, here we go. It's now telling us to go check our email. Now of course we're in development, we don't actually check our email, we just go to the server logs. So over here, if I click on this, I can click on my email, and then I click on that, and now it's going to redirect me back. And now this is the page that we're going to make today, is this login screen. So let's create a new page, which I'm going to call login.tsx. And if I come over to register, I'm just going to copy paste what we have here, paste it in here, and then we're just going to make a few easy changes. So instead of a register component, we're going to be using the login component. Usually we have to generate the types for this, and then it'll generate this component for us. But because in our GraphQL folder we already wrote a login mutation and we've generated the login component before, we don't have to redo that. So we have access to it right here. I'm going to just rename this to login. I also need to, at the bottom here, replace that with login component. As for the fields, we don't need a last name or a first name on this, just an email and password. The rest of this is good. The form to handle the submit can get rid of these two fields here. And then it's going to be renamed to login here. And then it's not liking our variables. I think we just need to spread them maybe. There we go. And if we're spreading it like that, we can just pass it directly in. Basically, we do not have, if we look at what we need to pass into our login, we need to pass an email and a password, whereas a register was an object called data. So that's where the difference is. Okay, we don't actually need this register file open anymore. We're just working on login. So now that I added that, we don't need to check the email after that. And in this try catch right here, we don't really handle errors like that in the login. I was just returning null if the login failed. So to do that, I'm going to bring the error object up. I'm going to bring set errors up as well. And then I can just get rid of the try catch since we're not going to be using that. So basically what I want to do is I want to look at the response that we get from logging in. And if it's null, I know we got an invalid login. So I'm going to say response and response.data and response.data.login. So login, and okay, login's possibly undefined too. Can't remember if there's anything after that. Okay, login is what we want to check. So login is going to be our user. So if we don't get a user back, we know something went wrong. So if we get both of these responses, but we don't get a login, then we just want to say email invalid login. And then we don't really need this error object up here anymore. I don't think we can just do it like this. So this is what our onSubmit is going to be in our login component. And I think we're good to go with this. The only other thing is at the end, if it's successful, so I can say return here. Otherwise, if we made it here, we know it worked. We can say router.push, and let's say we can go to the index page, for example. And then let's rename this to login page. All right, let's give this a save, and let's go back to our login. And then let's just tom@tom.com, and then I'm going to put a bad password in. If I hit submit, we're going to get invalid login. Now if I put in a good one, we should get a cookie back too. If I click on application cookies, we can see this. Currently have a cookie, so I'm going to clear that. Submit. You'll notice I get a cookie back from a successful login, and we also get taken back to the home page. So the login works.